Hey, this is David Worley, and this time we're going to talk about ratios. What are ratios? Well, when you go in to do a loan, a guy like me is going to determine how much money you're going to be able to borrow. And we don't just pull that number out of the air, it's based on several things. These things boil down to what is called debt-to-income ratios. And these ratios are a percent of what you make versus what you owe. Now, to start with, you need to know that loan programs vary in these ratios. We'll start with the basic one. We've been talking about 3% down. And when you do a 3% down loan, that's an FHA, 30-year fixed generally. And that particular loan carries ratios that are recommended. I say recommended because they're not in stone. None of these are. But they recommend ratios of 29/41. What that means in English is that 29% of your gross monthly income each month can be used for the house payment. 41% of your gross monthly income each month can be used for the house payment plus all your other debts. So that's part of what's going to happen when you come in to do a loan application. We're going to run your debts and we're going to run your income, and we're going to say, okay, guy makes this amount of money, he's got this much debt that eats up his ability to buy a house, so he can buy this much house. So obviously, if you're going to buy that car, buy the house first, because when you buy a car and then buy the house, it cuts down on what you can qualify to buy a house with. Now, generally speaking, the ratios are very flexible, and a 29/41 is a recommendation on an FHA program. But, for example, conventional ratios generally are going to be 35/45. So they're a little bit more generous than the FHA, and they do require a little bit stricter credit standard. As I said before, you can do an FHA with a 580. You can't do that with a conventional loan anymore. Used to, but not now. So a debt-to-income ratio measures how much money that you've got coming in, gross income, that's before taxes, of you and your spouse or whoever's on the loan, versus all of your debts. And when we talk about debts, we're not talking about your gas, electric, water, cable, all that kind of stuff, not your clothes, that sort of stuff. What we're talking about is consumer debt. That would be things like installment loans, that car payment, the furniture, that sort of thing, and credit cards. Lots of people have credit cards. You know, this is going to be Visa, Target, you know, whatever you got in terms of credit cards. And they're going to be looking at minimum monthly payments. So if you charge up $300 and you pay $300 each month, that's not your payment. Your payment's going to be $10 a month or whatever it is. That's the number that we're after. The minimum monthly payment each month on those consumer debts is what's compiled into your debt-to-income ratios. And the point of ratios overall is to make sure that we don't put you into a house that you're going to go bankrupt in trying to pay for. So they restrict the amount they can borrow based on these numbers so that they're looking out for you. Okay? So that way we won't have any more foreclosures than we already have, because, you know, that's not good. So we'll talk to you next time, but that's about ratios. See ya.